Hello, everybody. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Show. Welcome along. And today we are looking at Charlton Athletic, what went wrong. Obviously, these videos, as always, are made with respect. It's much more fun to do a how did they do it, what went right video, like we've done for both Leeds and West Brom. But we're going to have a little look at Charlton's relegation and what on earth happened. Yesterday, we looked at Hull. That video is already up there. Go and check that out. I have missed Wigan out. We'll just get a day longer on Wigan just in case anything happens. I'm not sure it does. So we'll probably do Wigan tomorrow. In respects of Charlton, again, like I say, this video comes from a position of respect. Obviously, if you're a Charlton fan, you will know far more about this than I. I'm just looking at the Lee Bowyer era, really, and last season. So do get your comments in. But obviously, this is a wider, more sort of broad view of the situation. There are my three theories. What relegates championship clubs? Are they too small? Did they have a freak bad season? Or can we say owners relegate clubs, which sadly we do seem to be saying far too often when it comes to the championship. So Lee Bowyer, look there, 6th of September 2018. He was already caretaker boss here. There's going to be a pattern here with Lee Bowyer where they seem to be lucky to have him, but don't realise it. They managed to actually get him hired properly. Addicts were 9th in the table when Bowyer took charge, guided them into the playoffs. They lost to Paulhurst's Shrewsbury, but again, they don't manage to employ him under the ownership of Du Châtelet until that season has already begun, despite it looking fairly obvious that it would be a very good hire. Obviously, lots and lots of history between Charlton and Du Châtelet, the Belgian owner there. You all remember the tennis balls on the pitch and the little squidgy pigs on the pitch and all that. Not happy. But Lee Bowyer comes in, Charlton in League One, and it is promotion. And look at that. 11 wins there from the last 14 games. A superlative run by Bowyer and his team to get through there against Doncaster, just edged that on the playoffs and then beat Sunderland in the final. I was at the game. They played a clever system with 3 at the back and wing backs supporting. Rebo was creating, and they had Lyle Taylor up front. They had Christian Bielik on loan, who would move from 3 centre halves into midfield, and they'd go to back 4. It looked really good, to be honest, and Bowyer looked a very, very impressive manager. However, we're rumbling even after the promotion. Is he going to sign a new deal? And look at that story there. June the 18th, 2019. He signs the contract after it was reported, like a day before, that he'd failed to agree terms. And as you can see, there's a pattern here emerging. We had exactly the same with Hull. Managers on 1-year contract, I'm sorry. And, you know, unless you're bringing in one of the world's greatest and he's calling the shots, then you're seeing short-termism. We saw it in the Hull video. Again here, playing over 2-3 years, crikey. Bowyer, sadly, has his promotion team from League One pillaged. There are all the players that went out at the start of this season. And most importantly, look at the bottom there. Joe Aribo, off he goes to Rangers, really good creative player. Tariq Fosu, he went to Oxford and has since gone to Brentford and is in the playoffs now. Patrick Bowyer, near the top, has played loads of games at centre-half for Preston. And even though Dyke's still right at the top there, good fee, hasn't done amazing things at Borough. He was important for the balance of that team with the 3 at the back. So basically, for not a lot of money, he has his team pillaged, and you're starting to think, how have those contracts been allowed to run down and these players allowed to go for free? And you question the organisation and the contract structure already there. Lots of people are bought in. Purrington there down the bottom's a good signing. He'd been on loan from Rotherham the previous season. Conor Gallagher as well down there. Watch the space with him. Promising young Chelsea midfielder. Otherwise, retooling in the main with League One players and a bit of a gamble on Tomer Hemed of Brighton. However, what a great start Charlton had to the season. Look at those first 6 games there. 1-4, drawn 2, right at the top of the table. A little bit of a coming crashing down to earth there. 3 defeats in 4, but wedged in there was a victory against Leeds. This video is not the time to go on about what happened in that Leeds game. This is the relegation story, so forgive me if I'm going to leave that to one side. And a 3-0 there against Derby. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins in that first period. Really good start, riding the momentum of the previous season. Look up there, 7th position, 1 win away from the automatic spots, 21 points there. And you're not really looking down, but because we have to, 12 points above the relegation zone with 12 games gone. Things then even out a little bit. Some would argue regression to the mean, great start, and then it kind of moved towards where they should have been. Others will argue about this injury crisis there, particularly Lyle Taylor, obviously the chief striker. Josh Cullen, who I didn't mention, another excellent loanee. Field had come in on loan. Amos, the keeper there. Look, 12 players is 12 players. So I just wanted to raise that because I know it will get mentioned in the comments. We finally get rid of Roland de Châtelet. I think he'd been there since 2014. Charlton fans were at the time very, very happy to get that done. Here come East Street's investment with the very slick and handsome looking Matt Southall in his suits appearing at a lot of games. New chairman Matt Southall says they're looking to build something special, outlining their plans, wanting to rebuild the club slowly and sensibly, and talking about what's going to happen in the transfer window. So my owners relegate clubs theory, well, they've got a new owner now and they're saying all of the right things, but the form in the meantime, not good at all. Again, partly regression to the mean, partly injury crisis, I don't know. But look, no wins there in 2, 6, 7, 10. No wins in 11 there, plus 4 straight defeats as well. Coming careering down the table. And look there, losing to Middlesbrough, who were direct rivals, losing to Huddersfield. I remember that one, late goal. They do get 1 victory in there, but then it's another 5 games without a win. They were promised some players to help, given the end of the previous ownership and losing players in the transfer window. Injury, he needed some help. He did not really get it. We'll just look at the end of window table first. So I've got that the wrong way, but Charlton have now slipped to 21st. So they've gone from 7th to 21st in just a matter of a couple of months with that really, really poor run. 4 points, however, above Wigan there in the bottom 3. Look at that, Luton, Barnsley, Wigan. I was saying about the transfer window, doesn't get a lot of help really. Andre Green has been round a couple of championship clubs. He was indeed at Preston on loan at the start of the season, didn't get used. David Davis, we'll more from him later. Aidan McGeady has been tried and tested in lots of clubs and mercurial talent, but maybe application issues. And Joe Ledley at 32 comes in. So they would argue they do what they can, but not really to help Lee Bowyer needed. And we mentioned Conor Gallagher, really good first half of the season. Well, Chelsea recall and then send him higher up the leagues to Swansea. Would they have kept him there if he was still in 7th? I suspect they probably would. Now, having thought that the ownership issues and the craziness there were sorted, it starts to get embarrassing again. Matt Southall last night sensationally suspended by majority shareholder Tahoon Nima. Club safety officer asks Southall to leave. There's cameras watching this. We then start to get all kinds of alleged goings on, with Matt Southall having a nice apartment on the club and a nice lease car and all of these things. And you've gone from one embarrassing ownership to another by the looks of it. Poor old Charlton fans, they just cannot seem to win here, can they? We go into lockdown, and I was at the game before lockdown. Charlton losing at home to Bowyer in a vital game. If you look, that actually switches them in and out of the relegation zone. So Charlton go into the relegation zone, Bowyer go out. Lee Bowyer goes into full panic mode when the idea of points per game, which would obviously relegate Charlton, because when the music stopped, they were in the bottom three. Fortunately, we got away without points per game solution here. But another lockdown story, and I'm afraid this also happened at Hull. It didn't seem to happen at clubs where the contract situations were more sensibly run than this. But Lyle Taylor, Chris Solly, David Davis, not too much worry there. But Chris Solly had been there, I think, 10 years. And Lyle Taylor, the goal scorer, refused to come back. Obviously, contracts expiring on June the 20th, the season now going beyond. But two separate regimes are not really learning the lessons of Aribo and Bowyer and Fosu, all leaving for free the previous summer. They've let it happen again. And whatever you say about Taylor, Solly, etc., this doesn't happen if players are not allowed to run their contracts down. So we then have a third owner of a single season. Here comes businessman Paul Elliott. He basically buys East Street Investments rather than Charlton, which were the kind of holding company. But he's essentially the third owner in the season. That can't be good. We come back from lockdown and look at that. Brilliant stuff. A win against direct rivals Charlton, Hull, and then against QPR. So really good start, 6 points straight out of the gate. But then look at that, the goals dry up. Shutouts in 3 of those games. Where's Lyle Taylor when you need him, indeed? And a defeat at high-flying Brentford. We must just say, when we say where's Lyle Taylor, Macaulay Bonne, with the money Lee Bowyer was actually allowed to spend, the one player he brought in did rather well and looks a good striker there for a while. Then we get into the last 3 games and a really killer moment here. Direct rival, they're leading with 3 games to go. 93rd minute equaliser. And as things transpired, that would have actually pulled Birmingham in and raised Charlton a little bit higher in that relegation run. But a late equaliser. And in the next game, another draw. Is Charlton equalising in the 93rd minute. But Charlton and Wigan did not need to draw that game. Obviously, in the end, it worked for Charlton to hold Wigan back. But they're tripping over each other. And they're essentially, with that draw, both stopping each other going into the last game of the season. Although, looking at the table, Charlton were well positioned as we go into this ridiculous last game of the season. We got Charlton. We're going to go off to Leeds, who are already champions. Luton were at home to Blackburn. Wigan at home to Fulham. Barnsley, the key one there, are going to go away to Brentford. And it's going to take 2 of those teams below Charlton to win to drag them down. Hull weren't really relevant in the last day. They were under and done within about 30 minutes. But Leeds 4, Charlton 0 there. So as the craziness is going on, Charlton are already cooked and just relying on other people. And Charlton fans would then have sat and watched Blackburn take the lead against Luton, but Luton then go 3-1 up. Off they go. And then that sensational 91st minute goal by Clark Adair for Barnsley at Brentford meant a 91st minute switch into the relegation zone. You can imagine if you take 2 points off, on 90 minutes, Barnsley were on 47 points, on 91, and on the final whistle, they were on 49. So Charlton, in the end, relegated in stoppage time of the last game. Wow. So in conclusion, let's look at our three theories again. What relegates Championship clubs? Too small? No, not Charlton. They've been in the Premier League a long while. Nice stadium, good history, fan base. No, not too small. Freak bad season? No, I don't think so. Obviously, some injuries in there, but in the main, I don't think that was the case. But sadly, it is going to be owners relegate clubs one more time. Look, in isolation, De Châtelet doesn't relegate Charlton here because he's gone, 40% of the way through the season. However, the contract stuff with Lee Bowyer in 1 year and that messing up, and star players, Aribo, Fosu, Bowyer, being allowed to run their contracts down at the start of the season and go, which then means that Bowyer's got no money for them and he can't reinvest in the way he wants. And obviously the team weakened. And then even towards the end of the season, you got the same thing with Chris Solly and Lyle Taylor. So indirectly, yes. I think the embarrassment of Tahu Nima and Matt Southall in the middle of the season didn't help at all. We can't blame the new owner who's only been there a month or so. But certainly in terms of owners relegate clubs, the chaos there at the top of the club and three different owners within a season is essentially what has done for Charlton, despite the fact that they went up with a good team, a good manager, a good pattern of play, and bad ownership has allowed that all to be ripped to pieces with no money coming in and then continual chaos during the season. Left Lee Bowyer with his hands tied. As you can see, I actually happen to think Lee Bowyer is a good manager. And when I watched the team at the start of the season, they were playing in his kind of figure, the way he used to play as a player, with midfielders gambling and taking chances to get into the box, and very decisive with the finishing, very energetic. They topped the league for yellow cards, so they were certainly high on tackling effort, even though the yellow cards did come. So in terms of what happens next, now you look at Charlton, and I know the idea is that Birmingham want Karanka and Bristol City want Houghton, but there's going to be managerial jobs come up in the Championship because there always is, and Lee Bowyer will be linked with them. Whether he starts the season at Charlton in League One or not, I don't know. Will he pack it in and say, I did it my best, I've come out of this looking all right? And really it was matters above me that screwed us over, and maybe a bit of an injury crisis in October. So that is my theory on Charlton Athletic, what went wrong. Get your comments in. Do you agree, disagree? However you feel. Remember, this video is made with respect to Charlton, who my team Ipswich had some great battles with, particularly in the playoffs in the late 90s. So they're a good club, Charlton. I get that. I get that Charlton fans will know more about this than me. And if you are a frustrated Charlton fan, please don't take it out on me in the comments. Let me know what you feel, and understand that I come from a position of respect, and I'm just trying to go through each of the promoted and each of the relegated clubs and do a little bit of an outside analysis on what went wrong. Whoever you support and whoever you are, I believe in freedom of speech, and you get your comments in. Let me know what you think. Let's get the debate going. You can support the channel here via Super Chat. Even on delay, I'll open up the live chat and you can donate there, or on Patreon. If that's not your thing, then just hit the like button, get a comment in. Interaction is great, but more importantly, you can see there 10,000 subscribers now to the channel, nearly 10,500 in fact, since that little plaque went up. Please subscribe to the channel. Plenty of Championship content and good stuff, and we will likely still be looking at Charlton in our League One dearly departed show, clubs that have just left the Championship. So well worth subscribing, even if you are a Charlton fan and your team's gone down. That is Charlton Athletic relegated. What went wrong? I think, sadly, again, a case of owners relegate clubs. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching. Wigan likely tomorrow morning at some point. See you soon. Over and out. Join me tonight, indeed, for the playoff semi-final watch along. Brentford and Swansea 3rd versus 6th. Looking forward to it. Thank you for watching. Get your comments in. This has been the Benjamin Bloom Football Show. Over.